indicators. One of the essentials for a duty manager is to actually have a table which shows bar sales, for example, and catering sales as against the number of people who should be in the bar to deliver those levels of sales. So, for example, if sales fall below a certain level, the duty manager knows that he should or she should only have 1 or 2 people on in the bar in order to deliver those wages targets. And then finally, we think in 2009 and 2010 it's almost essential for senior management to be on site during the peak trading times. And these are obviously going to be Thursday night, Friday night, Saturdays and possibly even Sunday afternoon. Very important because this is when most of the sales are generated and when most of our variable costs are actually incurred. Well, gaming is very technical and we can't seek to deliver all the elements of gaming in this very short space of time. But we can cover off on, say, 10 of the essential sub-elements of properly managing your gaming installation. That indeed if you do have gaming machines. Now, of course, the first element that I'd like to press upon you is the need to always maintain a replacement program. We're all aware that the benchmark for replacing poker machines is that 25% of machines should be either replaced or refreshed or rebuilt every year, and in fact that benchmark is actually growing to closer to 30%. The second element I'd like to deal with is the element of management reports, and we've covered this off on previous occasions in this presentation, but the need to measure the popularity and the popularity trend of each machine and also measure the occupancy of each machine. Focus groups are very important in terms of people who use your poker machines. Where else do they go? Ask them that. What other products do they use? What do they like and dislike about your gaming venue? I know good gaming managers are always on the floor of their competitor sites, seeing what products, what layout, what chairs are offered, what sort of privacy is offered, and what promotions are offered as well. The fifth element that I think is essential within gaming is to obtain whatever market information you can about machine performance. And there is a lot of market information from manufacturers and the like. And gather as much information as you possibly can on the performance of gaming around Queensland and indeed in New South Wales. Sixthly, I think the network of talking to colleagues is very important. Really effective gaming managers and general managers are always on the phone to their colleagues asking them what's working on their side and what isn't. Go to the showroom of the manufacturers and play the machines and experience what your customers will experience if you put that machine on the floor in your club. The eighth element I'd like to discuss is centres on how much room and how much space you give your gaming machine players. The benchmark in terms of area for each poker machine these days is around about 2.5 square metres per machine or more. So if you're operating at less than 2.5 square metres, you're really compromising the comfort and manoeuvrability around the gaming machines for your gaming players. Critically assess your dedicated outdoor smoking area and make sure it's clean, tidy and presentable. And finally, getting back to the element of comfort, we talked about 2.5 square metres per machine. What about your chairs? What about the air conditioning in the room? What about the level of privacy that you give your players? First of all, I'd like to say that catering is probably your least profitable operation, but the reason why most people choose to come to your club as opposed to your competitors. The second element I'd like to talk about is the move towards removing the low-cost options of food within clubs. The third element I'd like to talk about is achieving 60% gross profit, and that should be the minimum target for a good catering operation, 60% gross profit on food sales. And here are the elements, I think, that are very necessary in terms of delivering 60% gross profit. You need to fully cost all the inputs of every plate and recognise the full cost of every input, right down to the garnishing. You don't get 100% yield out of every particular input. Take a banana, for example. You might buy 20 kilos of bananas, but roughly only 15 kilos is actually the flesh that you can use. Another element of ensuring that you achieve 60% or at least 60% gross profit is to set and monitor portions. It's essential to have the correct measurement and serving equipment. It's surprising how that can influence portions and gross profits. It's very important to brief your suppliers on your exact requirements of your inputs. How big do you want your cuts of meat? What types of meat? I think it's very important to prepare standard recipe cost sheets for every item. And of course, with the changing input costs of tomatoes and the like, they're going to have to change at fairly regular intervals as well. I think it's essential to reprice items on a regular basis. And it wasn't uncommon for many of our club clients to actually reprice their items every quarter in line with input costs. Vigilantly check stock when it is delivered. It's surprising how much stock isn't delivered but is on the stock delivery sheet. You must maintain secure storage of all your stock, not only your beverage but your food stock as well. And of course, stock takes need to be done at least monthly, and possibly spot checks done every week or every couple of days, just to make sure that stock isn't leaking out of your storage areas. Another essential element of achieving 60% gross profit in catering is to establish stock par levels, and that makes it easier for reordering as well. Always have a look at the amount of stock that you're carrying. In a good catering operation, well-managed catering operation, you shouldn't be holding more than about 2 weeks stock in total. And we think it's very important to systematically re-tender or seek your suppliers to re-tender for their supply arrangements. Apart from managing your gross profit, your wages in your catering operation will probably be your next greatest challenge, and making sure that they run in line with key performance indicators. Most clubs, well-run clubs, will be achieving wages in their catering of 40% or even less than 40% of their catering revenue. If gross profit is 60% and wages are running at 40%, then that leaves a 20% margin for all the other costs of running your catering operation, such as cleaning, your consumables like your napkins and so forth.